The Punisher Season 2. This will be my spoiler review. I have a non-spoiler review on my blog, soundandbettermyhead.com. You can check that out there. I got some other reviews on there for other stuff. So but this is going to be spoiler talk. Kind of a mediocre season. I really enjoyed Season 1. But Season 2 fell flat. I think the biggest reason is they felt like they were trying to cram two completely different ideas for this season into one, and it just never worked. You basically had the Billy Russo storyline about him recovering and wanting his revenge against Frank, and then a second storyline with the John Pilgrim on the Punisher's trail. And if they could have found a way for these two stories to come together, which from the trailers it looked like they would. It looked like the Pilgrim was going to recruit Russo to help him take out the Punisher, and that would have made the most logical sense for the way the season started. But no, we start off with the basically Punisher and Amy on the run from Pilgrim and his goons, and then it switches over to Russo for a while, and they really... He gets only a couple of interactions really with the Punisher, like face to face, and then the season finishes up with Pilgrim, and just the whole storyline was, I don't know. I mean, basically they're on the run because Amy had these photos of a senator kissing another guy that he was going to be blackmailed, and they wanted these pictures back, and they're willing to kill to get them back. But I think you just could have ended the whole thing and just sent them into the press and been done with it, and then the secret's out and there's no reason to track him down, and it was just kind of weird storyline. As far as the new characters, Amy did not care for her very much at all. You don't know anything about her when you first meet her. She lies to Frank, she lies to everyone she meets. There's no reason to really, other than she's like a young girl in trouble, there's no reason anyone should feel too compelled to help her, and you don't know anything about what she's running from, and it takes a good 4 episodes before we start finding out her background, and she starts bonding with Frank, and you know they do have eventually get a nice father-daughter dynamic going on, but I've seen other reviewers point out, and I think it makes sense that nobody believes her bullshit the first couple times we meet her, but then all of a sudden it flips, and she's supposedly this really good grifter, and she's a con artist, and she's really good at it, and tricking people and think she's a nurse or whatever it may be to get something done. And there was this kind of weird transition, I guess. The John Pilgrim character comes in as another blank slate, don't know anything about him except that he's a badass. They kind of hint towards his background. You get, he finally gets fleshed out, but much later in the season, and by this point he goes from being this relentless force after Frank and the girl to just his own completely separate thing, and he's basically sitting by the phone waiting to see how his wife's doing, and then he wraps things up. And despite basically being the worst character in the show as far as murder and all the bad shit that he did, he gets to walk away scot-free just because he's got kids. Kind of a weird finish. And that's really two real major new characters. You got your returning characters. Curtis has a bigger role here. He ends up getting more involved in Frank's, war, if you want to call it that. He's still solid, always just trying to do the right thing. Madani has a bigger role. Has a pretty good emotional arcs. Actually, while we're talking about new characters, I almost forgot. Dr. Dumont is just a kind of odd choice. Like, she's just kind of this background character in the beginning. She's just the doctor that's helping Billy. And my analogy is that basically they became Harley Quinn and the Joker. She's this psychiatrist that essentially falls in love with this maniac killer and is willing to kill to protect him. And then you got this maniac whose face gets disfigured and he kind of goes crazy. But that goes back to returning characters with Billy. Pretty interesting twist that he didn't remember anything that he did to Frank. His memory goes pretty much just back to the war. Just crazy seeing him so betrayed that these guys want to kill him that he considers his brothers. He just doesn't know what he did. it's kind of what Frank felt when Billy betrayed him. But Billy now, once Billy learns that he was in the wrong, instead of realizing that he was wrong and making amends with it, he pretty much does more wrong. Tries to completely fuck over Frank in any way he can. And once again, Frank just is the show. Just the amount of range that Jon Bernthal shows is just incredible as far as his character goes. Frank could be just completely charming, talking to the bartender and hitting it off with her and her kid, and then just completely vulnerable in a sobbing mess whenever he starts thinking about his children or his wife. But then just a complete ruthless animal. I mean, he's got like a Wolverine Berserker raid where he's just destroying anything in his sight, and just it's such a layered portrayal. The only issue they tried to really cover this season was, is Frank any better than the people that he kills? And they never really answer it properly. It's just basically, yeah, he's Frank, so he's better, and he just goes on being the Punisher. Solid action throughout, some good brutal fight scenes of people just getting busted in the face with weights, and just the gunplay, and Frank just shooting people in the face. I mean, Frank's absolutely ruthless this season. You lost a lot of the humor. He had great chemistry last season with Frank and Micro, and there was some great humor there. You eventually do get the Amy father-son Punisher thing going this time, but the humor's just not there. You don't need it necessarily in a show like this, but it's always welcome. And then not too much else. I'm gonna go whip through my notes here, see if anything worth pointing out. Just a little thing. Notice that Punisher is basically an equal opportunity ass kicker. First episode, there were women coming at him with knives, so he just will punch him right in the face like any other guy that was coming at him. He does not hold back just because they're women. If you're trying to kill him, he's taking you out. Definitely took a while for Madani to even feel like she belonged in the plot. Just like, hey, here's a chick from season 1, she's doing stuff. And it takes a little while for her to get integrated. So I was going to mention the big reveal. I mean, they showed it in the trailers, but just a mediocre makeup job for Billy. Instead of the classic Jigsaw, whole face is just destroyed. He's just a couple, pretty big scars that actually make him look cool, and he's still a good-looking dude. So maybe this is a budget, maybe it's just too much to have to put all that on him. Every episode, I don't know what the deal was. But then again, they put Worf's Klingon makeup on for 7 seasons of Star Trek, Next Generation. So kind of cool little. They did a little Halloween homage when Billy's on the bus and the guy's kind of fucking with him, and he basically stalks him. And the music specifically is definitely a riff on the Halloween theme. Actually, probably would have been better if Billy went back to wearing that mask one more time, just to make it that analogy that much stronger. Instead, you kind of get almost a Terminator moment too, where he comes walking out and he's got the guy's outfit. It seems like with the 2 different problems they had between not only Billy but these Russians being on Frank's tail, or not so much the Russians but the assassin, him and Madani could have worked together a little bit better. Instead, he pretty much leaves her completely in the cold about the whole blackmail thing, and it seemed like they had an opportunity to help each other, and they didn't. Had another brutal fight scene was the weight room scene. Like I said, Frank just bashing people's faces in with weights. Pretty brutal stuff there. Of course, we got our standard traditional Turk appearance. Like that he was still running the head shop. He's still sort of trying to keep up on the up and up. Kind of a silly way that they need to get those pictures developed. So instead of just doing something normal, they have to go to some pedophile shop and get them developed there and beat the guy up and burn the place down. Not that the guy didn't deserve all that, but it was just a weird choice. Like that's the place you go to get your pictures developed. A lot of real creepy pleasure and pain sex with Dr. Dumont and Billy. At first I thought he was damn near raping her the way he grabbed her and choked her and kissed her, but then I guess that was her thing. So I thought it was a little odd that all these former soldiers that teamed up with Billy, Frank had no problem blowing away. And usually, I mean, he'll take down mercenaries, but these guys are just soldiers that are making bad choices, and they've had a hard time readjusting. I mean, some of them are just assholes, but just there's no questions asked. He's just gunning them down. Seemed a little slightly out of character for him. It was pretty cool seeing Billy's crew become like pretty badass and just coming in and just clearing house and taking everybody out. Just becoming a well-trained unit. Apparently, Billy's just kind of randomly remembered Madani at one point and got into her apartment. It was just kind of weird that he was there. For a minute, I thought it was like a dream sequence, but somehow he just remembered her and got in their place, no problem. Again, the whole thing with that Pilgrim falling back off the wagon and doing drugs and hookers and all that stuff again. It was a weird choice so late in the season where he hadn't seen him for so long, and then him falling off the wagon, and then I said for him missing so many episodes and trying to come back and make some kind of I don't know, just trying to make something out of it. Just didn't. Could have been better, but he was like the main character as far as the villains. Using nice to see Karen Page again. Just didn't seem like they brought anything new to her relationship with Frank. Just more of what we saw from earlier seasons with him in the hospital bed and her trying to be friendly with him. Wasn't a fan of the episode where Amy tries to jump Frank to try to test out her skills and take his gun away, and he just flips out and starts shooting and just scares the shit out of her. I mean, it was really hard to like Frank in that episode. And I mean, luckily they worked through it, but she seemed to forgive him way too quick. I thought it was a little weird that Frank just immediately thought the senator was behind everything. Instead of, I guess as an audience we know as the parents, I guess he wouldn't know that, but just as the audience you're like, why are you going after this guy? He's not even the one who did anything. Fight with Madani and Dr. Dumont was okay. It was pretty brutal, but something just looked off about it. Everything looked just kind of weak. And then she goes out the window. She's definitely dead, and then it turns out she's not. And then Madani gets choked to death, so she's definitely dead. And then we find out she's not. So that was kind of weird, double fake out on the deaths. And pretty anticlimactic way for Billy to go out. He gets shot, tries to get help, ends up almost dead in a dumpster, still sticks it out until Frank just shows up and takes him out. It was just kind of a weird way to do it. Was there a better way? Maybe, but... And that's really about all I got. I don't got a ton on it. I said I ended up giving it 2 out of 5. You had 2 potentially strong storylines, and they were just basically... Neither one got enough time, and they should have merged at some point, and I think that would have worked best. But that's really all I got. Like I said, check out their fuller review on my soundedbettermyhead.com, and thanks for watching.